Have you ever built something so powerful, so complex, that you started to worry it might just collapse under its own weight? Well, that is the exact situation we're going to dive into today. We're going behind the scenes to audit a really sophisticated marketing automation system, find all its weak points, and then build a blueprint to make it bulletproof for growth. So here's how we're going to tackle this. We're going to follow the exact path an expert consultant would. First up, we'll get a handle on the scaling challenge. Then we'll map out the whole system. From there, it's time to hunt down the biggest risks. We're talking everything from email deliverability to tangled automations and messy data. And finally, we'll lay out a clear, actionable blueprint for stability. Think of it as a full system health check.
Okay, so our story starts with a marketing agency that built this impressive automation machine. It's powerful, it's complex, and hey, it works. For now. But as they're getting ready to scale up, a huge question pops up. Is this incredible asset about to become a bottleneck, or even worse, a liability?
And this quote right from the agency owner just perfectly captures the mission. This isn't about fixing something that's broken today. It's about hardening the system, making it tough, resilient, and ready for the pressure that's coming. It's all about being proactive, not reactive.
Now, to really get a grip on the complexity here, you got to understand this isn't just a few email campaigns. We are talking about 17 core automations in ActiveCampaign that all have to play nicely with each other. Then you add in external tools like Make.com, which is passing data back and forth, plus scheduling apps like Cal.com. It's a finely tuned engine where just one loose screw, one single data sync error, could cause massive problems when you start pouring in more leads.
So, where do you even begin with something like this? Well, the first step in any good audit is to just understand what's already there. Before you can find problems, you need a map. We have to trace the journey of a single lead, from the second they enter the system all the way to the moment a deal is marked won or lost.
And here's that journey all mapped out. A warm lead pops in, and they enter a sales sequence. If they book a call, awesome, they move to the next stage. But notice the manual steps here. A salesperson has to physically drag them over to meeting booked and then later to offer presented. So what you've got is a mix of slick automation and these really critical but also potentially error-prone human touchpoints.
Okay, now that we've got our map, let's find the first potential danger zone. And oh boy, is it a big one. What happens to the leads who aren't quite ready for a sales call? Well, they get put into a nurture sequence, a very, very long nurture sequence.
That's right, over 50 emails. Now, the idea is to provide tons of educational content and keep leads warm over the long haul. But when you see a number like this, let me tell you, alarm bells should be ringing. More is not always better, especially when it comes to email marketing.
So let me just ask you, what do you think the real fallout is from sending that many emails? It's not just about annoying people. The consequences can be systemic. They can actually damage the entire marketing operation.
This here shows the chain reaction perfectly. Look. If people stop opening your emails around message number 10, but you just keep sending them 40 more, email providers like Gmail, they notice. Your domain reputation takes a serious hit, and all of a sudden, more of your emails, even the important sales ones, start landing in the spam folder. You get user fatigue, people unsubscribe, and you're just burning resources talking to a wall.
You see, every long email sequence needs an escape hatch, and the solution is something called engagement tagging. It's a really simple but powerful rule. If a contact doesn't open or click on, say, the last 5 emails, an automation automatically pauses them or even unsubscribes them. This protects your sender reputation and makes sure you're only talking to people who are actually listening.
All right, let's move on to our next area of concern, and you'll see how this all connects. We've talked about one 50 email sequence, but remember, this system has 17 of them. So how do you make sure they don't trip over each other? How do you control the flow so a contact doesn't get a sales pitch and a friendly newsletter on the same day?
This quote from the consultant's analysis just nails the problem. Automation sprawl. That's what happens when you just keep adding new workflows and new automations without a central game plan. It becomes this tangled web where it's almost impossible to figure out what's going wrong because you don't know which of the 17 automations is causing the problem.
So how is the system trying to control the chaos right now? Well, it's using a single tag called Stop All Nurture. It's a blunt instrument. When a lead books a call, this tag gets applied to try and stop everything else. But what happens if you build a new automation next month and you forget to add that stop rule? The whole thing fails. The much more robust, scalable way to do this is to use goals inside ActiveCampaign.
A goal is a specific action, like booking a call. When a contact achieves that goal, the system pulls them out of that specific automation. It's precise, it's clean, and it's way more reliable.
All right, our automations and our emails, they're nothing without good data. If the data feeding the system is wrong, the automations are going to make the wrong decisions, and your analytics will be totally useless. It's that classic programming principle, right? Garbage in, garbage out.
So here's a classic data puzzle for you. Let's say a person clicks on a Facebook ad today. A month from now, they download a case study from your website and end up becoming a client. So, which channel gets the credit? Was it Facebook or was it your website?
The answer is, it's both, and it is absolutely critical to track them separately. The original source tells you what first brought them into your world, in this case, the Facebook ad. That's key for figuring out your acquisition cost. The latest source, on the other hand, tells you what triggered their final conversion, that website case study. You need both pieces of that puzzle to really understand what acquires new customers versus what finally convinces them to buy.
Okay, so we've mapped the entire system, and we've identified the key risks in email deliverability, automation logic, and data integrity. Now let's bring it all together into a blueprint for creating a truly stable, scalable machine.
A huge fear for this agency was flooding their sales pipeline with a ton of low-quality deals. The solution for that is lead scoring. Instead of creating a deal for every single person who seems interested, the system automatically assigns points for engagement. Clicking a link in an email, maybe that's plus 10 points. Visiting the pricing page, that's another 20. Only when a lead hits a certain score, say 50 points, does the system automatically create a deal for the sales team. It's the perfect filter.
And finally, none of this works without a clean database. Think of these as the non-negotiable rules for system hygiene. Hard bounces, emails that just don't exist, have to be removed instantly. Spam complaints have to be honored immediately. And those inactive contacts, you need a process to either win them back or let them go. A clean database is the absolute foundation of a healthy automation system.
So as we wrap this up, we're really left with this big question. A powerful system, like the one we've just picked apart, can be your company's greatest growth engine. But without a clear architecture, without data discipline, and without a focus on the user experience, it can very quickly become a complex liability that holds you back. The difference, as we've seen, is always in the details.